What's the upshot here?
Well, the upshot is there are a lot of complaints. We heard the Attorney General lay out a lot. Child safety, the power of platforms. We heard a lot of other people talk about drug sales, gun sales, online misinformation. We've heard about hate speech. The list goes on and on. But the question of what exactly we do about it, and that's up to Congress, it's not up to the Department of Justice, that's not something that has been settled on. We may be getting closer there, but ultimately Congress is going to have to change this law if it's going to change. And that means, if that's going to change this year, passing something in an election year. So I think we're not quite there yet. But what I think we are seeing is a lot of pressure on these companies as part of the broader techlash now coming onto 230.
Ongoing scrutiny. How are Google, Facebook, and the like responding?
This is one of their bottom line issues. They are always going to be going out there and talking about how important it is in their lobbying. Interestingly, they didn't come to this workshop. It's a little unclear whether or not they were invited, and they don't necessarily talk about it publicly. It's often through trade groups. But what those trade groups will tell you is that Section 230 protects free speech online. It makes the platforms less likely to kind of cut you off. It also allows the platforms to take down that really offensive stuff. 230 protects what you don't take down, but it also protects what you do take down. And they say that creates a legal environment that provides the proper incentive, to use the Attorney General's word there, to actually take down that most offensive content that I think none of us really want to see online.
Ben, I just want to interrupt you for a moment because we do have some breaking news. UBS naming a new CEO, and it is, as expected, Ralph Hamers. He will become the new CEO effective November 1, so it's going to be a little while before he gets his feet under the desk. He has previously run the Dutch lender ING, and he's going to replace Sergio Motti, who was one of Europe's longest-serving bank CEOs. So there you have Ralph Hamers taking over as UBS CEO effective on November 1. Ben, just to get back to you on your point about social media companies, we've had Mark Zuckerberg in Europe very recently calling for more regulation, but how genuine is that call being perceived?
I think there are a lot of people who say that it does not go far enough, that they don't really believe that the platforms have the public's best interests at heart here. I think what's fascinating is seeing these companies approach what is essentially fractured regulation around the world, various regions of the world looking at bringing on content rules, and these companies trying to say, we are worldwide businesses, how do we harmonize these regulations? And so you see things like Facebook coming out earlier this week and saying, hey, just tell us what content is off limits and we'll block it, but you have to tell us very precisely. You have tech trying to get language like this 230 provision into our trade agreements, U.S. trade agreements with other countries, to kind of export 230, which is uniquely American, around the world. And so you see these companies trying to get uniformity on a variety of different levels, whatever that looks like.
Ben, how does this fit into the broader and ongoing scrutiny from the DOJ, the FTC, looking into past acquisitions, which could obviously have a global impact given how enormous and influential these companies are around the world?
Absolutely. So Attorney General Barr kind of told us something we didn't necessarily know before, which is that the idea to do this Section 230 workshop, at least according to him, kind of grew out of they're already looking into competition in the market space, they being the DOJ in this case. So in his mind, those things are closely linked. Now, if you talk to people who study tech policy, they'll tell you that 230 and antitrust are vastly different issues. And in fact, taking down 230 could possibly just entrench the biggest incumbents. But at least in Attorney General Barr's mind, these two issues are linked. They are part of a broader techlash, and he wants to pursue them at the same time. And I think those things are only ramping up. And he, by holding this workshop, even if there isn't consensus, is sort of providing a forum to go to Congress and say, look, here are the complaints, here are the things we think, here are a variety of things we think you could do about it. It's on your plate.